Hey guys, welcome back to Contest Prep University. I'm Joe Klemczewski with Adam Atkinson. We are in episode 3 of the Fat Loss Basics series, and we're going to talk about fat intake. We concluded last time talking about carbohydrates and why we both think you need to have some there. We still need to manage them and bring them down. But in terms of how much carbohydrate you're going to use, it also depends on how much fat intake you want. So I really find, Adam, over and over and over that out of 25, 27 years of working with clients, all of those thousands and thousands of anecdotal cases and observations just confirm what we know physiologically, that having a high fat diet makes fat loss more difficult. We know we need a certain amount of carbohydrates to maintain all the processes we talked about in the last episode. And the best place for fat intake, while you have a lot of fat to lose, body fat to lose, is probably getting it as low as you can to make room for carbohydrates. That would be my starting point. Then, as we said, you can maybe nuance that a little bit and say, well, I feel a little better with 5 or 10 grams more of fat, and I'm okay pulling my carbs down. Some of those decision points are fine. But man, every time I have a client reduce their fat as low as they can so we can move carbs up, they lose body fat faster and they get leaner, just feeling better.
Yeah, well, you've got the thermic effect of food working for you there, but also, when you look at fat in general, this is one of the ways your body stores energy for later, is by consuming fats and utilizing those. And then you break that down into the different types of fats, like saturated and trans fats. You're just going to store those a little more easily than, your monosaturated omega-6 and 9s and, unsaturated fat as well. So that's kind of where fats get dicey, is because there's a lot of different types. So if we talk about just fats as a whole, you have to consider there's some shifting parts there. So I definitely agree with you. Lower fats, less room for air there, more thermic effect. And then, like you said, towards the end, you can maybe keep fats just a little bit higher. That's going to help stabilize blood sugar levels, which will help clients feel better, give them some more steady energy throughout the day versus having these high and low blood sugar readings and highs and then crashes and really low energy throughout the day. So it's not that we will stay low fat the whole time. There might be a time where we titrate that up just a little bit.
Yeah, and again, for satiety especially, I mean, I know if I'm having just egg whites, for example, and some small carb source versus having an egg yolk or two, if I can fit my fat in that can extend that meal window quite a ways without hunger. But as you were talking, I was thinking back, these images came back. I remember in my first organic chemistry class, really looking at dietary fat and what that does in the bloodstream. I won't go into all of that, but it's really tangibly amazing how dietary fat just gets stored as body fat, how those droplets of fat from your food instantly go into your bloodstream and get stored as fat. And one of my biochem professors later on, I think it was in my nutrition doctorate, was just almost famous. He for some reason, he loved this phrase. Whenever we talked about carbohydrates, he would say, fat burns in the flames of carbohydrates. So if you want to lose body fat, you've got to have, as you mentioned, the thermic effect of food from the carbohydrates. You need the glucose. You need that, as it's going through the Krebs cycle, creating pyruvate to actually burn body fats. And that is the most efficient way. If you just eliminate carbs, keep your fat super high, it's going to be very inefficient use of body fat. You got to keep your fat low so that you can then have a need for the body fat. And then carbohydrates, as my professor said, provide the flames to burn the body fat. And I know that's kind of a meaningless metaphor until you look at what's happening biochemically. But again, going back to using your own body as your lab and doing the great level of research you can do by documentation, I think you'll find you feel better and look better and lose body fat faster with keeping the fat intake a little bit lower.
Yeah, absolutely.
So do you have any clients who specifically you can recall that, did that kind of experimentation and really saw a change?
Yeah, absolutely. I can think of a client who started with me about 3 years ago, and I kept his calories the same. I want to say his fats were like in the 90-gram range, but we isocalorically moved up his carbohydrates and moved down his fats, so then his calories were the same. And he was in disbelief that he was losing so much weight so fast there. And I can think of multiple accounts that had done that, but he was really engaged in the process, and he always sent me audio files so I could just like hear his excitement in his voice, that he was just sure that he could not have carbohydrates and lose weight until he started working with me.
And at 90 grams of carbs, I mean, he was probably virtually all keto.
Yeah. And it was definitely, it was tough for him because he had no like immediate energy coming in.
Same thing. It's almost a law. Whenever I have somebody who comes in as pure keto and I start making that slow shift like you did, every single time it's almost 30%. I can count on them increasing their calories up to 30% just by adding the carbohydrates, decreasing the fats. And that's just a change in their functioning metabolic rate with adding the carbohydrate.
Yep. I think I said 90 fats by accident, and he was 90 carbs, and then the rest was filled up with fats. But yes, he was definitely extremely low carb for a male, and that shift made all the world of a difference.
Got it. All right, guys, we're going to talk about protein next and how they fit into your calorie needs, and especially just for burning body fat and maintaining muscle. We'll see you then.